Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is Q&A. You can ask anything about anything. So be it yourself, conditions, esoteric, clinical, about a client, a friend, anything goes. So unmute yourself or type in and fire away.
And go ahead, Bill, then Chris. Maybe you didn't mean to unmute yourself, Bill. If you did,
Is
go
that Bill?
ahead. But
Hey, Bill.
let's get back to you. Go ahead, Chris, and
Hey,
maybe
Chris.
it's our speakers. Let's see what happens.
Thanks, Sam. Hey, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. Hey, I was hoping you can just take a look at my head area. I've been having this, it was intensely painful at first, of past maybe 3 days ago, but then it's now low grade. I've been trying to
What's
cut
going on?
cords.
What's going
Just a headache.
on? Headache.
Yeah.
What part of your head are you having the headache in?
Around the ajna area, forehead.
Like up high or between the eyebrows?
But right now it's between the eyebrows. Initially it started out the entire top of my head, like the crown area.
Yeah, you have cords on your sex chakra, your Mingmen, and big old one between your eyebrows.
Oh,
You
okay.
actually have one on the crown a little bit as well. How about let me just cut them for you.
Thank you so much.
Worst one is on the Mingmen.
I
And
see.
so it's female and it looks like it's somebody from work.
Okay. Not
Is
a
that-
client.
Oh, yeah, work could be here. Client. Yeah, it's probably a client.
Okay.
Yeah, but like it's work related. It's not in your personal life or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You probably know who it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Just think of somebody who's like not getting their way, upset, aggressive, whatever. That's your person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Blew them. Like blew them quite a bit. Think of them and do hyssop.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you
I've
could
had
do
hyssop
room.
in my pocket the last
Yeah.
few days.
Yeah. Like and the thing is the you know, because when somebody projects negativity, you know, it's not like they're going, I'm going to project negativity at you and I hope you feel this. They're just being emotional. Like, you know, they're a little worked up about something. They're not getting their way. They're reacting to something. More times than not, it's to something in their past, not even about you.
Yeah.
And,
I think they have severe
but once it
abandonment.
starts to like be projected, then there's like a bounce back and forth between your body and their body. And
Right.
the thing that's really good is hyssop diminishes that bouncing back and forth. So it's like it calms your body down, because a lot of times what happens is they project something, you might feel it for a week and it might feel like they're upset at you for a week, but they were upset at you for a few hours and then they moved on, but they left you like have that reaction. You know what I mean? It's a very common thing. And so, you know, a lot of times they move from situation to situation, just being upset at different things.
Right.
So that feels very normal to them. It does not feel normal to you. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, the headache is a perfect example. Is, you know, it's just a byproduct of the agitation. Sometimes it's not even their emotional body. It's the agitation in their immune system. You know, a lot of the projection actually comes from the same mechanisms that fight viruses and bacterias. They just,
Uh-huh.
it's like the point of the spear. And so the issue, like why this is important, is like, okay, you know, right now you have a headache, but it could also be that over a period of time, you know, dealing with people who kind of wear you down like this can cause you to get sick a little bit easier, can cause you to be fatigued a little bit more, can cause you to, like, you know, have reactions to other situations that have nothing to do with them, but they just kind of wear you down a little bit.
For
And
sure.
so
Yeah.
cleaning that stuff up is I mean, honestly, it's a little bit of a full-time job. Depends on what kind of work that you do, but given the kind of work that you do, um, you know, I mean, you're a seasoned veteran with all this stuff. It's just it's just the things that happen. You know, I wouldn't even read a lot into it when the person's doing something. You know, I had a positive interaction with this person one time, and when I left, it felt like an argument. You know, it
Huh.
wasn't verbally, but like physically, it felt like we had been arguing, and I was like, because that's where their body's at. Like that's the state of their body. Like even a positive conversation is full of stress and um being adversarial and like all these things. And I was like, oh my God, like even dealing with this person like on a good situation, it's nasty. And so you know, it's just one of those things that especially given your kind of work or things where you're dealing with, you know,
Patient.
people, yeah, people, but where you're having to make decisions or somebody has to make a deadline or, you know, something like that, it's always just going to be a thing. It's like
Mm,
going out into the garden and gardening.
right.
You know, it's great, but you got to shower and change your clothes when you come out of the garden because you've been down in the dirt. You know, it's the same thing for work. So
And so, Greg, so I've been trying to cut cords, right? Because I knew it was a cord.
mhm.
I mean, I felt some relief, but not really. What am I not doing right?
Sometimes the issue is they're pretty wound up, and sometimes it might feel that you need to resolve it. So like if it's that you feel that there's some need to resolve it, um uh, that
Like
one's a
talk it
little,
out with a person?
no, but just
Oh,
like it could be talking out, it could be that you know, you got to fix the situation or come up and address their agitation or whatever demands they're making in the situation. Sometimes that is it. But
mm,
if that doesn't get it, I mean, you always want to like kind of clean the cords to, you know, so use that their cord blend or something like that before you go through and do roux, or you know, clean them up substantially with you know, cleaning them energetically
uh-huh.
and then cutting them. But when they're super upset, it doesn't matter how neutral you are or how much you've tempered your body, it still is a lot of energy coming at you. And
Right.
so things that can calm that down would be like doing the blue healer, or you know, one of the dark blue oils like yarrow or German chamomile, and
Yeah,
think of the other person as you inhale it.
got it.
Spikenard would also work. Vetiver would probably also work. Valerian would work. Um, things that are really like sedating.
Ah, okay.
You know, the blue is calming and soothing the agitation. The spikenard, valerian, very sedating. So it just kind of sedates that back and forth. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah. You're
Makes
so
sense.
yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
And I mean, like, sometimes it might not even be that they're upset at you. They might just be excited.
I think they've moved on from the being upset, but it just
Yeah. But it
projection
could be a
was so
positive,
intense.
it could be about like a positive situation, like, hey, you just won the lottery and you're gonna get a payout in 2 weeks. They're gonna grind on you until they get that check in their hand. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily always a negative situation. And
Got it.
so, you know, people's energy bodies are in different places, and the thing, I guess the point I'm trying to make is when somebody's lower emotions can go really low and be really negative, when they're excited, it still feels kind of negative. Like, it's almost just two sides of the same coin. It's still kind of not very comfortable.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's usually people who have a very unregulated emotional body, like in the workplace. Like, you would see it a lot there, where they just practice aggression, or they practice, you know, pitching a fit or something like that. It's usually not people, you know, even like your clients that are coming to get work done, their emotional body is going to be more regulated than the general public's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you can always bless below their feet as well, you know, because part of why they behave the way they do is the energies that they attract, and some of that comes in the sex chakra, some of it comes through the soles of your feet. And so by blessing the soles of, you know, not the soles of their feet, but just below the soles of their feet, it softens the energy coming into them, makes them feel better, and improves how they interact with you.
Got it.
Yeah. I use that one all the time. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll put a reminder of
Yeah.
myself.
Like, I mean, I use that all the time for healing. Like,
Oh, okay.
like I do it like right off the bat before like when I used to do healing all the time, I had a couple like little things that I would always do at the beginning of the session. That was one of them, and the materialization breath.
You'd have them do the materialization?
No, I would do it. Like, I would think of them and then do the materialization breath, because it brings in light to the situation. Blessing below their feet also brings light into them. So it's just like right there, you're already bringing in light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Let me know how that goes.
Yes, I will.
Maybe blue, maybe dark blue, that person right now. Whoever they
Yep.
are. Yeah.
Doing it.
Very nice.
I'll write you more. Thank you, Greg.
You're civil.
And then go ahead, Bill. I think I got your mic working.
Hey,
Can you
Bill.
hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, thanks. So I was trying to, I've never heard of this particular condition before, but I've known the mother for a while, the daughter, which would be late high school, early college age,
Okay.
apparently has an autoimmune condition called severe aplastic anemia.
Okay.
So it was diagnosed like in 19, right?
Mhm.
So she's had some treatments, including 4 surgeries, both lungs, both sinuses, and then a bone marrow transplant in 2020, and had a round of chemo and radiation prior to that point. Now the issue is the bone marrow is almost fully recovered, but her immune system is catching up because it was pretty much wiped out.
Right.
So she's been real open to infections, and her stomach has been sensitive. So she's been having recurring lung and sinus infections since she went back to school in 2022. So kind of what they're interested in is kind of how to strengthen her gut, so to speak, and strengthen the breathing and the lungs and that kind of thing. The mother said it's not cancer, but it behaves kind of like cancer.
Interesting.
Yeah, so what's happened is when she's gone back to school, then, obviously she gets exposed to everything that's going around. And it sounds to me kind of like, well, we just really don't have a lot in us to fight. And of course, I'm gonna have to have some guidance on. It almost looks like this breathe easy might be a thing for her, but I'm gonna have to know.
That could be like, how's her digestion?
Apparently it's an issue because she's had stomach
Yeah. Yeah, so she's had what?
stomach issues, gut issues.
Stomach issues,
Yeah.
okay. So I would do a couple of things, like I would treat the stress in the digestive tract, basically like we would refer to this as like a stress plagued digestive tract. And which means that usually the diaphragm is tight. Usually there's a lot of lymphatic stagnation in the gut, and then there's poor autonomic function, specifically in the parasympathetic activity, which is your rest and repair. So all of these are just different like emanations of like a stress plagued digestive tract. So doing something like tarragon or rosemary verbena, the ANS support for the gut could be helpful. I kind of like almost going just tarragon. She could do it topically. She could also do a little bit internally. She could inhale it. All of this will ease the stress in the digestive tract, and it will fortify the parasympathetic activity of the autonomic nervous system. So it will start to kind of balance some of that out. So a lot of times when you see a lot of excessive infection and inflammation in the sinuses, it's almost always some form of stress that's coming from the solar plexus or the gut. And the stress doesn't always mean emotional stress. A lot of times it can be physical stress, but it's just a bunch of excess red prana like stuck up in the nose. A lot of times it's dirty. So I suspect that the lung issue is also diaphragm related, and probably a lot of lymphatic issues, just overall. And keep in mind that lymphatic issues a lot of times will start with a disruption in that autonomic nervous system. And so you kind of want to treat both at the same time, because if you just treat the immune system and lymphatic function, it will like usually improve a bit, but the nervous system will kind of bring it back to that place. You almost need to like really balance out that part of the nervous system so that the immune system starts functioning a little bit more properly. And there'll probably have to be a bunch of adjustments, but right off the bat, I would treat that.
So you would treat it with a tarragon?
I would treat the gut with the tarragon, and you can do like anytime you have like an autoimmune issue, and here it's a very serious autoimmune issue. The thymus is always a thing that needs substantial treatment. And do we know, did this person have like a lot of traumas or a lot of like situations where feelings got hurt a lot over a long period of time, or
Not that
something?
we know of beforehand.
Okay, not that we know of.
And maybe on some trauma and moved from India to the US or whatever, but that's been some years ago now.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm not aware.
Yeah, her endocrine system looks also compromised. Like it's very depleted. Okay, so I would do the tarragon for the gut. I would do like 3 wise men or the mixing of frankincense and myrrh to
Yes.
jumpstart. And that's going to have multiple benefits. For one, it's going to jumpstart endocrine function. 2, it's going to stimulate cerebral spinal fluid circulation. It's going to reduce inflammation. And it's also has an impact on lymphatic function. So it's going to kind of hit all of those things pretty easily.
And it is just a combination of different frankincense and myrrhs, correct?
Yeah, there's nothing else in it.
She runs all this by the.
Yeah.
Cancer,
Frankincenses
she
and
runs it all
myrrhs.
by the oncologist, yeah.
Yeah. Frankincenses and myrrhs. That's it.
And so you would do that like 1 drop a day, once or twice.
Oh, I'd probably do 3 or 4, at least once a day at first, just to make sure she can tolerate it. Maybe start with 2 just to see if she can tolerate it, and then bump up to like 4.
Okay,
But like when we have people who have serious endocrine issues, I mean, we jump them up to like 8, 8 drops a day. And but that her body's so sensitive, I would just gently walk into it. Like I wouldn't do big quick. I'd go really super slow.
Right.
And then the thymus.
can't remember what we used for treating that brain on fire one, but it had some thymus action. I don't remember which one it was. I can't remember the medical name. The one that brain on fire was what they call it commonly. The young boy in
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like a lot of times we can use Moroccan thyme. We can maybe start with that, but we might need to move up to Melissa for that. But let's get the other things moving first. Let's get her on some tarragon and maybe that 3 wise men and
the tarragon, like 1-2 drops a day.
yeah, like that. You could even probably at first, just because the body's going to be sensitive, have her inhale it and then put like 3 or 4 drops in some lotion or massage oil and just rub it on her gut for like maybe a week.
Okay.
Yeah, like it will feel very soothing, and it will start to unwind it, and she can ease into treatment like that. Because like the thing is that we always have to keep in mind, or at least I try to keep in mind, because a lot of times, like when I would be seeing patients, I'd want to do the most that I could in a session for them, or try to get them back to health as quickly as possible. Here you have somebody who's been through so much, they're kind of frail and fragile a little bit. Even though they might be out doing things, their body can't take a punch like some other people. And so I would just slowly walk her into some of this so that her body can make a shift and adjustment. Because even when you're trying to heal something like this, as weird as it sounds, you're dealing with the stress response, the defense mechanisms will kick in because you're just making a shift. The body won't want to shift out of the state that it's in. So in a case like this, slower is actually a little bit better. Rather than trying to do a whole bunch really quick, it's just like you do a little bit and then you back up, and then you do a little bit and you back up, and then after a while you go, oh, they're kind of doing okay with it, and you just kind of keep easing it in, because their body can go into crisis too quickly, and it's almost like the healing the body has to get adjusted to. Because I mean, it sounds like she's just had a crazy experience going through all this stuff. If she's had surgeries and bone marrow transplants and
like 4 years, so it's a long.
Man, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I know some of the autoimmune stuff they treat with like chemo and stuff like that, the really severe cases.
So she's had 1 each of the chemo and
Yeah,
radiation, but that was just before the transplant, I guess, a bone marrow transplant, which
Right.
apparently is over and done and has done well.
right, good.
Yeah.
Good. As she gets better, there's a treatment protocol that I can give you, but like you kind of got to ease her into some of this for a little while.
So you want to start now with the drops and everything,
Yeah,
the 3 wise men, and then just inhaling on the tarragon and rubbing
Yeah.
some on the gut.
and maybe just do a healing on like the thymus. Like
Okay.
clean it and then energize it a little bit with delicate regeneration. Greenish yellow, greenish violet. Yeah, just a little bit, not too much. Just keep easing it in, because you're treating a gland, but you're also treating a gland that's being guided by the nervous system. And so you're wanting to re-educate the nervous system as it impacts the gland, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like the focus isn't the gland itself, it's the nerves that are affecting the gland. That's probably a better way of saying it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Keep me posted on that. I'm glad to talk that through, like
Yeah.
text us or whatever, but those complicated situations take a lot of adjustment. Like, you treat and adjust.
Yeah. A movement and a rest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, and your wife's doing good? Like, you guys bounced back from your trip and all that?
Yeah, all good,
Good.
I'll have a little, have some wisdom teeth out tomorrow, so.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not sure I'll be very wise next week, but I'm, thank you for asking. Yeah,
You're so welcome.
we're
Hey, and
over-
we'll do the minister thing next week. We won't do it this week.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Cindy and Ralph.
Hey, Cindy.
Hey, Greg. Hey, I have some great news.
Oh, I want to hear.
So, a year ago in March, I had a review at my work, and after the review, I quit. And that's when they offered me the position in corporate, where I am now.
Nice. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Yes, I totally remember that. Wow, that was a year ago?
It was March a year ago.
Oh.
And so the same people, so two of the same people gave me my review, and it was that director that you and I talked about,
Mhm.
that gave me, that was one of the people, and then the HR person. And he gave me lots of praise and said that he was very impressed with everything I was doing, and gave me a $1,500 bonus and at a 10% raise.
Cindy, that's amazing.
That is huge, Greg. And
That is humongous.
I'm going to tell you,
So you're going to go to the casino, put it all on black, and just like try to double your money?
Yeah, right. So I want to say that all of the classes that I have done in the last year, I totally attribute to me being able to do that.
Oh, you're so sweet. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, really, it's really saved me, Greg. And I really, really appreciate all of your help and
My
all of the
pleasure.
oils that you've helped me learn how to use. So, so with that,
Look at all your like all the things you did with interacting with that, because I if I remember right, like when you moved over, they were just kind of letting you have a little bit of time before they were going to let you go, right?
yeah, they weren't giving me anything to do
Right. They were
like,
kind of quietly trying to sweep it all under the carpet and just like, well, we're just going to let this one float away and hopefully, yeah. And
yeah,
look at
they
you,
were
look
going
at
to
you, you turned it around.
Yeah, and he had doubt. He said he had doubts about me, but he said that he was very impressed. And
Excellent.
actually, the owner wanted to give me the review. I think he wanted to tell me that I got the raise, but the
Nice.
director asked to give me the interview, so
Yeah.
he let him. Anyway, so that
Way
looks
to keep your
good.
wits about you about through all of that stuff. You know,
Oh my
because
gosh.
you stepped out of the box and several things that, went down over the last year, and good for you. That's such good news. Such good news.
And I'm going to tell you that I have used the oils almost every single day to help me get through all of this Stop. I mean, and mugwort has been one of my favorites,
Yeah,
and
isn't it
bay
nice?
laurel.
Yeah, yeah,
So, so with that said, I did have a few questions.
yeah. Yeah, fire away.
Nerve Soothe Body Tonic.
Mhm.
Where do you apply that on the body?
So the Nerve Soothe, it's a really interesting blend. Like I made this like a really long time ago, like a version of it, and then I kind of brought it back, and I actually was bringing it back more for myself than anything, because the thing is it's very relaxing, it's very soothing to the body, it's very soothing to the body. But the thing that it also does is, you know, like I don't know if you ever get this, but they're not like cramps, but they're like these little flutters that you can get in different parts of your body. Like you might get them on your arms or your legs or your back, and it's just like this little quiver that happens, not so much in the muscle, but like in the fascia or soft tissue. And it doesn't hurt or anything, but you just are aware of it, right? And so it treats that, and all that is a disorganized part of the nervous system due to inflammation, right? Like there's just been like maybe some long-standing inflammation, old injuries. Like in my case, I get them because I've had multiple areas where I've had like broken bones or something disarticulated or whatever it is. And so I just have these spots in my body that I just have to manage. And so, but one of the byproducts of it is that it reduces tension in the neck, regardless of where you put it, by the way. Like you could put it on your lower legs and it would still take out some tension in your neck. And it's good for reducing inflammation in the mouth and throat. And again, it doesn't matter where you put it. It's really about like how your lymphatic system's working and how your nervous system is working. And so I would just put it on spots where you want to feel like something relax. Everything okay? Yeah. Where everything can relax. But if you have a hot spot, a bad back, if not, just put it on your torso, your chest, your abdomen, call it good. But like I usually hit my hot spots with it. And it's noticeable. It takes like some weird tension out of your neck and jaws a bit. And so yeah, even inhaling it will do it somewhat, but it's much better topically.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I even did a thing where I was like, well, if I take it internal, maybe that'd be stronger. Topical works better. Like it just, internal did something a little bit different, but topical seems to be the best application.
So the Nerve Soothe Body Tonic is what you put on the body, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. So
yeah, it's like the original name I had for it was actually angina. And so like angina, you usually think of the heart, but angina can also mean neck tension and mouth inflammation. Like cardiac angina is the physical heart, but when they just say angina, like, these are old terms, but when they would just say angina, it meant like tension in the neck and inflammation in the mouth.
okay.
Yeah.
So in the mornings, I apply bay laurel usually to the lower back, and then I wait a little while, and then I'll use the mugwort rollerball on all the joints.
Yeah.
So
great.
how long do I need to wait in between those applications?
To do it again?
Well, no, like I put on the bay laurel, and how long do I need to wait before
I do them just at the same time. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if I needed to wait a certain
That's
amount.
fine. Yeah, just layer it on there.
And so if I use the CRC body tonic, would I use that first and then
I would do the body tonic first, and then let that kind of soak in, put the bay laurel where you're gonna put it, and then hit the joints with mugwort, call it good.
Okay, so for a good while, when I would wake up in the morning, I could barely walk. My back just ached so bad. But recently it stopped. So I'm wondering, could you kind of look at the body and just see if,
You have some trigger point activity in your abdomen.
okay,
Like take you could even just do it with the body tonic, like splash it on your abdomen and then kind of take your fingers and like kind of dig into your abdomen, starting at the ribs, and then just kind of like wiggle your way down with a little bit of pressure. And you're wanting to look for the spots that kind of burn.
okay,
When you hit it, you'll go, oh, that doesn't feel good. It kind of burns. Like that's the spot causing the back pain.
so use the CRC body tonic?
Yeah, you could do that. You could do it with lotion. You could do it with whatever, but you're already splashing that on there. So just splash it on and then just kind of start using it as a lubricant and just kind of dig into the tissue a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah. That'll stabilize your back a lot more.
okay, all right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Hey, and again, congratulations. Good job.
Well, it's because of the work I've done with you. I am very, very grateful. That's what I want to say.
Yeah. Good for you.
And then go ahead, Ralph and Andrea.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey Greg, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you? How's
Good.
life?
Well, the mouth is progressing along. I can tell somebody's in there doing remodeling, you know. I have run out of myrrh and I've run out of clove.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do was take a quick run through the top 20 oils and see if I've got a B choice until my order shows up in the mail
Sure.
here. Basil,
Okay.
would that work for a mouth cleaner?
It would be okay. Do you have bay laurel?
Yes.
Do bay laurel and like, do you have cypress?
I believe I have some cypress. Let me look at my
Yeah.
list.
Between those two, you should be good.
Yes, I have some cypress.
Yeah,
Okay.
between those. Yeah, yeah.
Bay laurel and cypress.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, like another one that's a little bit of a sleeper for mouth stuff is fennel. But I doubt that you have fennel.
No, I don't have
Yeah.
fennel, but I'll look it up.
But no need to get it, but it's like if you had that in your repertoire there in your little toolbox.
Mhm.
But between the bay laurel and the cypress, that should get you along for a little bit.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank-
And another one, tea tree. Like just good old fashioned.
I got tea tree. I've been putting that
Yeah.
on my infected
Yeah.
toenail, and that's doing great.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you could throw tea tree in the mix. You know,
So
because the thing that's nice about tea tree is it will also act as a bit of a pain reliever too.
okay, so tea tree again. That's a couple drops in water internal.
Yeah.
Okay, along with the bay laurel and cypress, I expect.
Yeah, and just pick one of them. You don't have to do all of them. Just pick one.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, do them like maybe a little gargle from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good deal. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Okay, have a great one.
And then go ahead, Andrea, then Christina.
Hey, Andrea.
Let's see, unmute, there we go. Now you can hear.
Yes.
I have a housekeeping kind of question. I bought a
Yeah.
roller ball with Vitex.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know where to apply it.
Well, you like there's two good places to apply that. You could either do it like on the temples or you could do it like on the wrist, like right here. And the reason being that, you know, in the body, you're wanting that to get into the bloodstream, and those two areas really have not very much like fatty tissue that it has to work its way through. Like if you put it on this side of the arm, it's got to work through more tissue to get to the blood. I mean, the other location is the top of the foot, but for Vitex, I usually go wrist or temple.
I never would have guessed. So many different places to put the oils
So-
in. Your
So-
reasoning, it goes so far beyond my thoughts.
There's, we've been playing with, I used to only do this for a general treatment for the endocrine system, but we're starting to play with doing some work with some of the oils that are very specific for a particular gland. And it's basically the soles of your feet, and then front solar plexus, back solar plexus, front heart, back heart, and then your ajna.
Wow,
And that will actually really be fortifying to the endocrine system.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one other question,
Yeah, fairly.
and you've kind of talked about it a little bit, that disorganized nerve
Mhm,
response.
mhm.
That's what I think I have in my legs. It's not,
Like little fibrillations, like little
It-
like twitches.
actually, it's not like that. It's like there's a rheostat attached to a nerve or muscle, and it
Uh-huh.
just intensify, and then kick. And then it's 15 seconds later again, and again, and again.
Yeah. And has it been getting progressive, or has it been staying about the same?
It takes ups and downs. The other night after the class, so Sunday night,
Uh-huh.
it was like legs from hell. I'm not kidding. I had put blue healer body
healer,
tonic on
yeah,
my
yeah.
legs. I had put marjoram Thera on my legs. I finally gave up and took marjoram orally,
Uh-huh.
and then nothing seemed to help.
Yeah.
The weird
I-
thing,
I
Go ahead.
think that so this is how I would treat it. I mean, those were all good choices, like given what's going on. And you actually were very descriptive in what you were talking about, because a lot of times people would just say like cramps or something like that.
it's not,
But I know
not-
exactly what you're talking about, the way the nerve is firing. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
but it
and
jumps
so-
around too.
Yeah.
It'll go from leg to leg.
Yeah. The thing that I would do is I would take I would probably take like 3 or 4 drops of galbanum a couple of times a day. And like if you feel like you're in a bout of something right in the moment, try taking a little bit of galbanum, just boom, or just right there and then.
Okay.
But that nerve soothe that we were just talking about, that's
Yeah.
probably what I would use. I've used that in times past, and people would usually feel some relief right off the bat, but like after several applications, they'd forget to use it because the sensation went away. And yeah, it can be something that's compromised a little bit in the spine, but sometimes, like you said, it can just be like an inflammatory response. And I notice sometimes in myself that sometimes doing really intense meditation would fire off the nervous system a bit. And it could even be from your practice a little bit. And it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong or bad. It's just the body doesn't always handle that energy well. And just like being able to keep on top of it allows you to just keep doing your practice. Like I don't think you need to stop your practice or anything, but it's just one of those things where certain parts of the nervous system can get a little bit weird with really deep meditation. And so it's this really weird thing. Like the deeper your meditation is, sometimes the weirder your body gets about it. Like, you know, it's just kind of a weird thing sometimes. And so yeah, I would just calm it down like that. Galbanum is probably going to be enough, but that other thing, putting that on, the nerve soothe, it's incredibly soothing. And we can always do it in a little tiny bottle just to make sure that it's going to work for you and everything, like a little 1 ounce or 2 ounce bottle. And then if it works for you, then I would just like have a big bottle and slather it on. You probably don't even need to do it daily, but like after you get it treated, it will calm down, and then just from time to time do it as maintenance.
Yeah, it makes sleep almost impossible. For
Yeah. Oh yeah.
the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other,
I've had several surgeries on both legs, but more on one leg than the other. And I mean, they just told me you're going to have like weird nerve sensations because they had to rearrange the neural pathways behind my knee.
oh wow,
And they said as you get older, it's going to get weird. Like it's gonna like, kind of like pulsate almost. And they said, hopefully it doesn't happen for a while, but I was 20, I think, when I had the surgery. And when I slap that stuff on, all that stuff stops.
oh, I am so looking forward to that.
Yeah.
It's really crazy.
Yeah. And if for some reason this doesn't work, let me know, because there's other tricks that we can do, but I think that's probably the thing that's going to do it.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so much.
You're so
Very
welcome.
much
Good to hear from
appreciate
you.
your work. It is life changing.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. You're so sweet.
And then go ahead, Christina, then Barbara.
Hey, Christina.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. We missed you here in California.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like you guys have had a crazy time out there with all the.
Oh, with all the
I
rain.
keep teasing Val at the office if she's building an ark out in the parking lot, because it's just you've been to the Astara site, all that hillside,
Mm,
the mud's coming down into the parking lot. So the
Oh my
parking lot
God.
is getting smaller and smaller every week.
wow, that's crazy.
It's super crazy.
Okay, so I'm having oral surgery tomorrow,
Okay.
and you suggested myrrh, which I've
Mhm.
taken already. Thank you very much for that.
Mhm.
So I've been taking the myrrh like once a day with hot water. I don't know if that was okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my two question is, can I take that instead of antibiotics? Because I know
What are you having done?
teeth extraction tomorrow.
Like wisdom teeth, or just like you're just getting a tooth
Okay.
pulled? Or
Yeah, I'm getting 4 tooth pulled, and then they're going to do an implant later on. Implants, yeah.
I mean, the myrrh is antibacterial. I mean, it can help with infection, but are they suspecting like an abscess or anything like that? Is it just a precaution, or?
I suspect it's a precaution. I mean, that's usually what they do. But I mean, I'll take it, but I'm not too fond of it.
Yeah, I hear you. Like I try not to take it, but there's times where you just have to. I maybe like ask your dentist and just say like, are we really worried about infection? It's just this like a natural, like kind of prevention thing, or just a precaution, and kind of fill him out and see what that is. And I'd say personally, if it was just a precaution, I'd probably get the prescription filled, but just probably take the myrrh. And then if I start to feel an infection, I would take it.
Mm.
But if they're really worried about an infection, I would take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then any oil suggestions for pain or?
Well, I'd say right after the surgery, I would take either galbanum or myrrh, like a substantial dosage, 4 or 5 drops. And you could do that 1 to 2 times a day, and you could do that several days in a row. The thing a lot of times with surgery is the day of, and maybe a day or 2 later, you might feel some pain, but it might be a few days out. Like if it was a shoulder or a hip, I'd say first week you're probably okay, second week you're going to be in more pain. With mouth stuff, a lot of times it's the first day or 2 you're okay, and then maybe a couple of days out you feel a little bit more pain. And so I would do that. And you could gargle with it, but definitely either galbanum or myrrh Or you could do each one of them together. I take them separately, but do a couple drops of myrrh, a couple drops of galbanum and call it good.
So if
It should substantially, like when my body's in a lot of pain, if I take like 4 or 5 drops of either one, the pain goes down by 60-70%.
wow, okay. Yeah, last time I had something like this done, I don't remember a lot of pain, but I didn't even get the pain prescription that the doctor ordered.
I
But just in
would
case-
probably get it filled just to have it on hand in case you do need it. You don't want to have to scramble around, and what's that old saying? You don't want to have to build a toilet to go to the bathroom. You want to just have it there if you need it, but you probably can go without it. Yeah.
And then for the myrrh, how often is once a day enough, or should I take it more? often?
You can gauge, or if you're talking about the infection, once a day is probably enough. If you're dealing with pain, I would just let the pain be the indicator. Like if you need a couple times a day, then do it.
Okay.
Yeah. The
And
thing
then-
that's nice about the myrrh is it hits some of the receptor sites in the brain that really kind of changes how you process the pain. And galbanum kind of hits a different site that has to do with processing pain. And so I find that the galbanum will take a weird tension out of your body that you don't even know it's there until it's gone when you're in pain. But it will accelerate both of them would accelerate the healing process in those situations. We had one person, this is a few years ago, where they had broken their foot and they were in a cast, and they'd seen the doctor and gotten x-rays and everything, and or on some pain meds, and their foot was still turning, it was turning black and blue, and the swelling wasn't going down, it was getting worse. And I said something to them like, hey, we can treat that. And they're like, nah, it's okay. The doctor gave me medicine. And then about a day later, they were like, really, there's something we can do, because it was just getting worse and worse. And I gave them like 3 or 4 drops of galbanum, and actually there I had them put the galbanum on the wrist. It wasn't even internal. You could actually do that too if you wanted. And then had them take black cumin, like 2 or 3 drops, and you could literally see, like over like an hour or two, the swelling was going down and the discoloration was already going away. Like it's like that quick, like how well that stuff works.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
One last question on the myrrh. If I was going to take it to prevent infection, how long do I take it for? Like a week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, like a week to 10 days.
A week to 10 days. Okay.
Mhm.
Great. Thank you so much, Greg. I
You're
appreciate
so welcome. Yeah. Hey, let us know how you do after your surgery.
it. Yeah, wish me luck.
Yes, yes. You'll do fine, but still just keep us posted so we can kind of monitor you a little bit.
I
If
will.
something
Thank
gets
you.
weird or wonky, let us know, okay?
Okay, I will. Thank you.
And then go ahead, Barbara, then Anne.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey there. This feels like an odd question, but it feels as though my ear canals are, I don't know if they're inflamed. The left one actually feels like it's getting narrower. I can't
Yeah.
even get the tip of my little
It's,
finger.
it's inflamed. Yeah, that's inflamed.
I mean, there's no pain and my hearing is fine, but just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, they can get inflamed. The diameter can shrink. Sometimes you'll start hearing like popping in your ears. Yeah. So I would say a couple of things. You could just inhaling hyssop sometimes will reduce some of that, but I would say like gargling with 2 or 3 drops, even 4 or 5 drops of bay laurel in the mouth, like really just kind of open up all the lymph and the lymph nodes and all that. And you don't need to swallow it, just really swish it around for a few minutes. Or cypress, like whichever one you have, just 3 or 4 drops in water, swish it around, and do it like maybe 1 or 2 times a day, and it should unwind a lot.
Okay. I think I have both. Should I stick with one or alternate? Is there a benefit?
I would maybe alternate. I was gonna say I'd probably start with bay laurel, but then I was like, oh, cypress might actually, I don't know. Do you have any sinus issues right now?
They've been a little more congested of late.
Inhale some rosemary verbena or sinus support or basil or something that you have for the sinuses. Open that up too, because a lot of times there's something going on with the sinuses when that's happening. I mean, it can happen without that, but might as well treat them both.
And thank you. And any connection to dental stuff? Like sometimes I think there might be a low-grade infection.
Yeah, I mean, it's always possible. But you know, like when you have sinus issues or yeah. Are you prone to headaches?
Well, generally not, but sometimes after class, they feel pretty.
So one thing that can happen is like the muscles on the side, the temporalis, will
Yeah,
actually radiate pain down into the teeth. And so sinus issues can cause issues in the teeth, and the temporalis can cause, and it's not even really issues, it just feels, you know, it's affecting the nerve. So it feels like a little neurologically like something's up, but it's actually more the temple than the mouth itself. So, you know, you can just take a little bit of something like marjoram or vetiver and put some on your fingers and then just get in and rub the scalp. And a lot of times that will alleviate some of it.
thank you. I know often when you would have us check in with the body, there's something in the jaw almost all the time. I don't know if that's a piece of this too, or
There's something, what? I didn't catch that one.
when you would have us go to body awareness and where do you feel it? It's often my jaw. I don't know if
Oh,
that's part of it.
if you're having some jaw stuff, then definitely your temples are probably, you know, because like if you put your hand on the side of your head like so, and then open and close your jaw, you can feel all the movement up there.
Yeah.
That muscle up there plays a big role in moving the jaw. And so a lot of times jaw issues are also the side of the head.
So vetiver for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Plus it feels super good. Like, you know, do it around the ear, and then like my trick is I lay on my side and then put a few drops of marjoram on the scalp, and then I just kind of rub it in, and oh man, it feels so good. Feels so
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Ann, then Sonia.
Hey, Ann.
Hi, thank
Hey,
you
how
so
are you?
much for the workshop. That was
Oh,
really
good.
amazing.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed.
I want you to know that I no longer have gotten upset playing checkers.
Oh, tremendous.
Checkers
Now.
has been such a painful thing because I get so upset. I hate to
Right.
lose.
Yeah. I hear you.
And also, I found today
Now you
that
you can stay focused and dominate that board.
well, at least I can enjoy it and not get so
Right.
tense. The other thing is I was able to play the piano and I was enjoying and it was flowing. I was amazed at what a difference that made. So thank you.
Wow. Very nice. Good for you.
Right. Question about
Mhm.
being aware with the body awareness. I was
Mhm.
amazed at how I could recognize in the body. What is that that's happening? Is it lymphatic or what's?
Well, so a couple of things. So one, you're kind of putting two and two together with the external environment, and you're connecting the mind and body, and they're not really disconnected, but sometimes we kind of don't always process things coming from the body. We make like some unconscious adjustments. And so by putting your attention and awareness there, it just helps to like ease the body into like a deeper state of relaxation. But you're also starting to see like when things in the environment are also just as much like triggering things in the body as the body itself. And so it it kind of helps put like 2 and 2 together, and it makes you a little bit less reactive to things in the environment, because we all do it. We're all sensing things in the environment, but what happens is, because of all the years of conditioning and our experiences, like at some point we're always just like kind of doing an unconscious like damage control, like what about this, what about that, you know, and it's usually not what's happening now, it's usually what's happened to us in the past. And so it's kind of a way to bring the mind and body together and be more about now and less about the past. And you're also training your mind not to be as reactive to those things, either in the environment or in your body. And so by sitting and putting your awareness on just different parts of your body, that is actually a very intense spiritual practice. Like if you can really get that down, oh man, that is a skill set. That is totally a skill set. And you could say the rate of healing that can happen when you are able to tap into that, it's mind-blowing how much can happen just by going through and doing that. Like it's significant. You know, you could say that combined with a little bit of breathing is a healing practice unto itself. Yeah.
Thank you. I will.
Yeah.
keep in mind.
And look at like what your experience was with the weekend. Like you said, like you're not getting as upset playing checkers and you know, you're doing these different things. It's like you're getting to be more of your true self rather than the conditioned self. You know what I mean? Yeah, good for you.
Let me ask also about, I've got fungus on my 2 big toenails.
Mhm.
The doctor had prescribed Silopyrox.
Mhm.
Should I simply stop that and do the tea tree?
You
or
can
what?
do that. Like there's ways to go through and treat it. You know, putting tea tree on it can be helpful. Anything with menthol in it will actually break down that fungal growth. And you know, like the old school remedy for that was to put Vicks, you know, that vapor rub, because it's just a ton of menthol, and then it's like petroleum jelly, so you could put it on there and it would stay there for a long period of time. But here's another trick is I had like my little toenail was like that, and I was like, oh God, I'm gonna have to get on the medicine. And I don't know, we were traveling and I was like, let's stop and get a pedicure. And you know, they put that tablet in the water for the antifungal thing. It knocked it out. It completely knocked it out.
Wow.
So you might have to do a little tea tree or a little peppermint or something on there and go get yourself a pedicure and call it good.
Okay, the last thing is my lower back, and I am working with physical therapy exercises,
Okay.
but I'm wondering what else would help.
Describe to me what's going on with your back.
When I sit and play at the piano, I
Okay.
realize that I'm not sitting up straight enough, and I hunch over and then it's sore.
It's sore. And is it sore on one side or the other?
No, across the whole below
Across,
the waist.
like side to side.
Yes, side to side below
Okay,
the waist.
that's actually your abdomen. Like the abdomen is not stabilizing the back enough. And so a lot of times it's not that it's not strong enough. A lot of times it's like too contracted. And so let's have you put like some like marjoram, something that's antispasmodic, some like marjoram or spikenard or vetiver, like put like 6-8 drops in some lotion or massage oil, rub it together, and then just cover your whole abdomen.
Okay.
Yeah, do that kind of daily for a little bit, and it should diminish quite substantially.
Great.
If it's
Thank you.
lower, If it's like the lower back, it's
Correct.
more down the lower part of the abdomen. If it's mid back, it's the upper abdomen.
Okay, it's
And
lower.
then if it's both, then just hit your whole abdomen. I usually hit the whole abdomen regardless, but yeah. Anytime that it's like side to side like that, that's always an abdominal issue.
Okay, great.
Yeah, like those muscles get like contracted and then they don't like relax and contract like they should. And then the back muscles have to start compensating. So then what happens is they are starting to like tense up and harden up because they're having to act like bones to like support you. And so that's where the pain and the tension comes from.
I thought it was just old age.
Yeah. I never liked
Thank you.
that answer.
Thank you.
You're so.
And then go ahead, Sonia, then Andrea.
Hey, Miss Sonia.
One time you said something about muscle testing, that you didn't think it was necessarily a thing that worked, and I was wondering if you could explain why.
Muscle testing doesn't allow for change. It's always about like stabilizing something. And so if you're trying to evolve the body out of something, it's always going to do what causes the body the least amount of stress. And so sometimes pushing it out of a condition means that the body has to go into allostasis. And anytime the body goes into allostasis, the muscle testing will test as like that's not good. A lot of times it will say allergies. Then on top of that, emotional things, it's not always super accurate. It can be good for some things. Like I'm not saying that never use it. I'm just, some conditions you could use it, some conditions I wouldn't use it.
I generally find that the more specific your question, the better answer you get.
Mm.
Like if something is, if you ask if your body is reacting to this, if it's some things and not some things, it may give a yes or it may give a no. If you can be more specific, if I'm getting an allergic reaction, or if I'm getting a toxic reaction, or if I getting an autonomic reaction, then you get a clear and response to it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't used it that much.
And then go ahead, Andrea.
Hey, Andrea.
Yes, and oops, wrong thing. Several times over the weekend, you mentioned situations that brought up a long-standing issue that I've dealt with. Long ago, I, along with Teresa, we did a pranic healing clinic and meditation.
Sure.
And one of the people that attended there was a young woman who had a brain injury from abuse.
Oh, wow.
And it made her just circular and obsessive.
Yeah.
And we stopped that clinic. I haven't seen her in 10 years at least.
Mhm.
And she still continues to attempt to get a hold of me. I don't respond in any way at all. I just don't respond, because if you connect with her, then she just talks for 20 minutes circular, and it's not going anywhere. So I hadn't heard from her for about maybe 6 months. And then she contacted me somehow on my website for a free healing session. And I just went, I mean, she wanted me to call her. And you've talked about all these different ways of disconnecting, and I was wondering if you had any advice on this one.
Boy, that's a good question. You have a disintegrator?
Yes,
Disintegrate the cords between you and her.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can blue her, but I mean, that's the thing with the brain injuries, like you said, there starts to be really there can be bad impulse control. You know, it depends on where the brain injury is,
Yeah,
but there can be really super poor impulse control, and they could be a bit much to handle.
yeah,
And you know, back in the day, you know, I led a team of therapists one time. We'd go into a facility and we would treat head injury patients. And there was a small segment that we actually, you know, we didn't have to have armed guards, but we had to have security there because they, you know, they would get really super wound up, and you just never knew what was going to trigger them. And you know, you guys were doing clinics and all that, but like a lot of times that just needs, you know, professional help, and they need to be in you know, working with a therapist, you know, like a physical therapist, occupational therapist, you know, psychologist, whatever it is. And you know, if that's not your thing at the moment, I would just cut the cords and walk away.
yeah,
And you know, whenever she reaches out, like dark blue her, like just calm down the interaction, because you're really doing her a favor by doing that, because a lot of times she's probably getting really wound up reaching out to you, and it's going to calm and soothe her down quite substantially. If you wanted to do things from the weekend, you could just sit and do blue healer, like feel it in your body and then go to her, and then feel it in the body and go to her, and it would just calm those interactions down substantially. And yeah, just like what you're doing, just not engaging. And yeah,
okay. And
I mean, you know, there was a small part of that population that would develop like obsessive tendencies, and
there's a lot of paranoia.
yeah, there's, I mean, I mean, this might be too much information, but like that first month we were going into the facility, I think we were only going in once a week. Probably the first 3 or 4 times we went, there was some incident where one of the patients would scream and yell at one of the therapists.
Yeah,
And nothing bad had happened, but I mean, it's like you really have to be kind of prepared for it. And one of the things that when I was running the therapist through is I was starting to get a little bit concerned about some of the therapists, because I mean, it kind of takes its toll going in there. And so I started doing a thing where you get to come in 6 times and then you got to take a month off.
Yeah.
You know, like you have to have a break and be able to step away from it so that you don't get burned out or get kind of traumatized going and trying to help. And you know, some people, it wasn't even 6, it might have been like 4, but it's like it's that much of an issue, where even when we were dealing with professionals, it's like, you know, there was certain populations that when we would deal with it, like if you were doing therapy with the group, you also had to go through and do a little bit of therapy, because what you're doing is super intense. And you know, it takes its toll. And you know, the point is not for you to get pulled into something, you know, it's just to provide help, and then, you know, step away when the time is right. And so if this doesn't work, let me know. There's stronger things that could be done. They're just a little bit more complicated. This is usually enough, just, you know, like solar plexus, throat, basic, You know, I'd probably do them all, but like just disintegrate the cords between the two of you.
Okay, that's,
More so than Rue, like, you know, because they're not negative chords, like they're positive chords. So Rue's not going to make them fall away, but you're needing to step away from this person because you know it was like you're doing something good, like it was you were helping the person. So this isn't necessarily like negative interactions. It's just you're kind of trying to step away from it. So that's why you're going to have to go through and really systematically like disintegrate.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I was also doing Om Mani Padme Hum. What do you think about that? Or is that?
Yeah, do it, direct it below her feet.
Okay.
Like
below
right
the-
below her feet. Yeah,
okay,
that'll calm her down a lot of times as well.
okay. I didn't put in that part of it, so that
Yeah.
would be really good.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you so much.
you're so welcome.
Oh,
Keep me posted. If that gets wonky or something, let me know.
Okay, thanks so
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Questions in the chat as well, and always feel free to unmute yourself,
Mhm,
guys, raise your hand. What would be a stronger oil treatment than tea tree to treat stubborn nail fungus that occasionally causes a rash around the fingers too?
Well, anytime you have like a fungus in the nails, tea tree is antifungal, but sometimes it's not quite enough for, sometimes it is, sometimes that's not. But when you need to step up your game a little bit, I would mix like peppermint, or actually corn mint is actually a better choice just because there's more menthol in corn mint. But either one, whatever you have, and I would mix it in like you can mix it in with like a little massage oil and rub it in the area, or you can rub it in. I mean, you might even want to go like old school, like get some Vaseline and mix it in with the Vaseline, like put a drop or two of the oil with like a little blob of Vaseline and then mix it in your finger and then take it and rub it all over that spot because you want it to linger there for a while. And the menthol will knock out the fungus. You know, the rash, I mean, peppermint can be stimulating, but it's also an inflammatory. I mean, I would try that, but it's probably more of the rash is a little bit of the fungus, but on the skin. And so Punzia might work, Pomarosa might work, but I would just try treating the nail and just see if you can knock it out that way.
And go ahead, Troy.
Hey, Troy.
Let's get you unmuted.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey. I'm just gonna.
I got your photos, and I like was going through and evaluating, and I'm coming up with a protocol for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was kind of just checking in with that.
You look like you look like your shoulders, like if you look at it like this, like one's like this and one's like this. And so it's putting like extra pressure on the spine. It doesn't look massive, but it looks like it's enough to where it could be causing some of these like joint things you have going on. And it would also throw off your Ming Men substantially.
Yeah, I've broken both of them, and one of them was separated from the collarbone.
Both shoulders, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the low back? Bad injury with the low back or strain or anything like that?
Definitely strain, prolonged strain for a long time. I've never had like a really prominent injury directly to the back.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've been kind of stalking myself to watch, like, to try to see when the pain is going up or down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. Yeah. What have you noticed?
Well, you said something earlier to someone about, how a lot of times it's not about what's going on right now, it's about stuff from the past,
Will
and
be
that resonated
definitely
with
from
me.
the past. Yeah.
Because a lot of my life is going pretty swell right now.
Mhm.
You know, my clinic, the Pranic Healing Clinic, is
Mhm.
growing and doing really well, which I'm really happy about. It's a long time coming. My own personal artwork is going well and selling, and I don't know. I have a lot of really positive things going on in my life that I'm really grateful for. Um, I'm busier than ever, and I think I'm invested and happy about all of the things that I'm doing.
Mhm.
But I've noticed in one or two like personal relationships with close friends, like the other day, something happened that you've said a few times, it's not what they said, it's how they said it.
Right. Oh my God, yes.
So
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
they said something, a couple of things, and it wasn't what they said. Like what they said logically shouldn't have been an issue or upsetting. And on the surface, what they said didn't seem like there was anything about the way they said it. But energetically it felt really weird, and it totally threw me off balance, and I immediately kind of just tried to shoot one off from the hip to like get some like SOS. So I just immediately invoked and started to just like breathe into my heart and just kind of like try to stay in the moment. But it really bothered me.
It's somebody that you've known for a while, or like a newer person, or
Yeah, like
you don't have to tell me names, but just give me an idea of
six months, but like fast friends, really good person. And just I had some intuition about some of the stuff, and I had empathy for like they have no idea. And I saw and heard some stuff like behind it, and I was like, okay, that makes total sense. It's not really about me. So
yeah, they look a little triggered.
they just totally.
Yeah, like when you were having the interaction, like they weren't talking to you, they were talking to somebody in the past, and you were just standing there as like a stand-in.
Totally. I
You know?
got that. Like I
Yeah.
actually like I actually felt them behind me. I like turned and looked over my shoulder. I was like, who are you talking to? I didn't say that out loud, but I did have
Mhm.
that sense.
Mhm.
So my pain level went like through the roof over the next like 24 hours.
Okay, so
And
let me ask you this. Did it just feel like they vomited on you? Did it feel like aggressive? Did it feel violent? Did it feel judgmental? Did it feel
judgmental,
judgmental? So judgmental
like
would be,
disproportionate to the situation.
yeah. So let me look something up real quick. Hmm. So let's have you use some form of sage. Bathe in it, several drops on your wrist, inhale and think of the person. Um, like, do you have some right now? Like you have like any kind of sage, like not clary sage, but any other kind of sage.
So I'm looking. I have so many oils. It's absurd. I'm pretty sure I do.
Yeah, you probably have all the different kinds of sage.
I have at least 2 or 3. Here's Australian.
Yep, that works. So like just take a few long, slow, deep breaths. Notice how you feel. And then think of the person. You know how like we do that thing, like think of the person and then feel it in your body. Think of the person, take several inhalations and then go back to the body. Where do I feel it in my body? And keep breathing the sage in. And
Yeah, like kidney, adrenal, Mingmen.
yeah, so just like breathe into that low back area. Yeah, you got a big old cord to your base too.
The throat's pretty loud.
Like as you do that, does it feel like it eases it or does it feel about the same?
It feels like it significantly helps physical,
Mhm.
but the emotional pressure is like really high.
So do you have your Sandalphon kit like anywhere near?
Yes.
Pull out Nimbus.
Okay.
Just like and just inhale the Nimbus. Like you don't even have to be fancy about it. If you want to put your awareness on your spine, you can do that. How's that feeling?
I'm not sure.
Do that for like go back and forth between the two and let me know how you feel in like about 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
But let's resolve this tonight. Like let's not have you have another day of this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Like if it's after the Zoom, text Samantha.
Okay.
When using electric green for energizing, what chakra is this coming from? The throat?
The crown and the throat at the same time.
Go ahead, Donita.
Hey, Miss Donita, how are you?
Hi, guys. I'm well. I emailed you
I
today.
made your fancy oil today.
I know. Sam emailed me. Thank you.
Mhm.
How, by the talking about the fancy one, any specific ways for me to sniff it? Bowls or
You can always inhale it. She had me make a blend for Shakti. So
are you gonna put it on the website for my friend?
yeah, we'll put it on the website.
Perfect, because I told some of my friends and they're all excited.
I would, you can inhale it, you can put it on the forehead, but for that one, I would also do Mingmen, back heart, crown. Like just inhale it, like, you know, just work that pattern. Yeah.
Meng, back heart, crown.
Crown, yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's very lovely, by the way.
Oh, I was hoping that.
Yeah.
I was hoping.
Yeah.
Thank you so very
It's got there's this it's a very rare oil in it called Karo, like Karo. And it smells kind of similar to tuberose, but it has some different properties. And part of what it does is it does stuff down like in that kundalini area and the soles of your feet, and it's very nice. Yeah, it's super hard to get, but your blend has it in there. So
Thank you so very much, because it's
Mhm.
just, it's been talking to me. So as I might
yeah,
ask, let us, Greg.
it was on it was on my list of one of the ones to make, but you know, I just hadn't gotten to it yet.
Oh, I really appreciate you making it so quick. So thank you,
Mhm.
thank you. I can't wait to get it and sniff away. I have a question, and it's not very, it's okay. So I haven't spoken to her, but it's a new client referred by a friend and client.
Mhm.
I emailed, so I don't know if you read the email. She actually has stage 4 liver cancer.
Okay.
She's 52, and she actually was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2020. And she got better. And then here she is again, and she just finished 5 chemotherapies.
Right.
So she's like, she tried everything. So she's opening up to everything, literally, because she's at the. So I thought, any oils, any protocols, anything?
So you haven't spoken to her?
No, not yet. No.
Do we know how well is she eating?
She was in
Do we-
hospital yesterday, so probably last week. So she's probably not doing. She's still weak, probably.
So one of the things is, you know, most cancer patients actually die from malnutrition rather than the cancer itself. I would treat whatever digestive issue presents, because she needs to get food in her body. And like going through the treatment and the chemo and all that, it really just takes their appetite away. And ginger can be helpful, tarragon can be helpful. I would probably go ginger, just because it's a good like general way to treat a bunch of things in the gut and can help the appetite. But sometimes that treatment is so intense that it's still a little bit almost like an act of will of them getting food inside them. And so I always kind of tell them too, like, if they're having a hard time eating, then you can drink calories. You can have shakes, you can have smoothies, you can drink a few sodas. Like, it's not about how good or bad or healthy or unhealthy it is. They need calories. Like, it's just, they got to get calories in them. And so it's like, how when you're sick and the thing is to eat crackers and 7-Up, like when you're a little kid, when you're sick, it's simply to get those really aren't good for you. It's just calories. Like, you're just getting calories in when you're sick. And so definitely visit that with her. Like, how much is she eating? What issues is she having when she's eating? As far as treating, so she's had breast and then liver. You can do big dosages of lemon internally. You can do like pine, like a lot of pine on the body, either in a body tonic or neat application on the wrists. You could also put it just directly over the liver, and it would need to be daily. Like, it would, like, I'm like topically, like probably 20-30 drops. She could even take a little bit of like just regular pine, like Sylvester pine or Scotch pine or something, a little bit internal. Don't do any of the fancy pines for something like this. Just go bread and butter pine, like Scotch or Sylvester.
And how much lemon?
You kind of throw the rules out here because she's in a life-threatening situation and you want to try to do as much as you can. I'd have her put it in like her water bottle, and I'd probably put 6-8 drops at a time. Every time she had a big water bottle, every time she had a water bottle, I'd put 6-8 drops in and drink it. So it might end up that she drinks 20 drops in a day, but
Yeah, but I just felt, and I'm not a pranic, I'm me. So I felt into her, and that was just a lot,
mhm.
and I haven't even spoken.
Getting things inside of her is going to be hard. Sometimes they handle it well, but most times their digestive tract is just so stress plagued that anything entering there just doesn't feel like, it just literally doesn't feel good, is what one of them told me. She said, it's not that I'm not hungry. She goes, I'm not hungry, but like when I eat, I don't feel good for a while. And she goes, I don't want to do that. And I was like, I get it, but at the same time, it's causing the problem to get worse. And so
My friend is gonna go because they in Melbourne, Australia. So my friend is gonna actually move in with her, and and he's a natural la la la. So he's gonna make her drink.
and then
The-
I usually have them go off meat, like any animal products. It's not forever, it's just like through the treatment, but animal products,
yeah.
corn. I mean, she's already having chemo, so corn might not be as necessarily, but a lot of times they'll start having allergic reactions to the chemo. And so you want to do things, keep them away from things that might potentially cause or potential allergens, like corn, soy, nuts, like especially peanuts. The meat, it's more meat than anything, but the meat activates the same centers that, like when you eat it, that causes the cancer to grow. So like if you don't have cancer, it's not an issue. But when you have cancer, you're trying to minimize those energy centers to slow down the rate of growth. And when the person keeps consuming meat, it keeps stretching those centers to make the chaotic cell growth increase. And that's not just a holistic thing. They've actually done studies in allopathic medicine where they basically have said animal proteins don't necessarily cause cancer, but they accelerate the growth of cancer. And that's what's been said esoterically for a very long time.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah.
Perfect. I made notes, but is there, so ginger is oil internally or just inhaling?
Yeah, internally.
And how much?
Like
on when?
2 or 3 drops, at least once a day, but it could do a couple of times a day.
Okay.
If the oil is a little too strong, or she runs out, like ginger tea, or go to the grocery store and cut up slices of ginger and boil it and then drink a tea from that, let's do some form of that.
Okay. But that's the trickier part. Is there a way to, because I'm feeling a lot of resistance, even though she wants to, but there is a deeper resistance within her. Is there a way to actually help her at the core?
It really depends person to person. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I've treated a bunch of people with cancer, and ones that you thought, like, if you just look at the condition, you're like, oh, this person doesn't stand a chance, and they push through and they make it. And then one where it's like, this isn't actually that bad of a cancer, they're probably going to be okay. And 6-8 weeks later, they've passed away. Is it really, I mean, you can try, but sometimes they just feel done, or they don't have the fight, or so I kind of do the thing where I try to help them as much as I can, and if it starts to be where it's obvious where they're like, they're just gonna call it quits, keep them comfortable, keep them hydrated, and help them keep their dignity when they're doing it. You know, that's basically all you can kind of do sometimes.
You know,
Yeah.
with her, sorry, with her,
Yeah.
she's different. She, after the cancer, the breast cancer, she bounced back. She even wrote a
Mhm.
book. So here in the conscious, she wants to get better.
Mhm.
But then there is this
Cancer's
wall.
a tough
put
one, you know, because you're really not out of the woods until
Yeah.
you know, at least 5 years, but a lot of times they look for 7. And I remember, you know, because I actually had cancer when I was in high school, and I didn't have a very bad case, but the doctor watched over me like I'd say 10 years, and there was a couple like 3 or 4 years out, like I hadn't, you know, I just had to go see him once a year, and I just didn't do it for a couple years. He tracked me down. He's like, this is serious. You like, we got to make sure you hit your 10-year mark. And you know, because it's just like what happened. You know, you go through, you treat the one in the breast, and then it sometimes ends up somewhere else in the body. And so, you know, everybody has their threshold when they're done. And
Yeah.
like the thing that I would say is, you know, we'll always try to push them to help them get better.
Mm.
But when they kind of reach the point where they're just like, I'm done, like to not traumatize them. Like I'll give an example of my grandmother. She was, you know, she started smoking, I think, when she was like 10. And she smoked until she was, I think she was in her mid to late 80s when she passed. And you know, she developed lung cancer. And you know, that last 6 weeks that she was alive, different family members would give her a really super hard time about smoking and tried to get her to stop smoking. And it was like, she basically in the process of passing away. Stopping smoking wasn't going to do anything. And it just turned into this like weird dynamic of like a fight every time somebody would come over and they'd start talking about the, you know, her smoking and everything. And so finally I just started pulling people aside and said, like, look, it's too late. Like, let her go out the way she wants to go out. You know what I mean? And there's not a rule of thumb of like how to do that, but it's like one of those things, like, you know it when you see it. Like you
Mhm.
just know, like, they're done. Like they're just, you know, it's not a thing in your head. You don't look at all these facts, you just look at them and you're like, they're done.
Yeah.
And you know, a few of my patients, I would say that to them, and I would just say, you still feel like fighting this, or, you know, how are you doing? And they would say, I'm done. I'm just done. And, you know, we just had one not too long ago. Like, it all happened really fast, but in the end, he was done. He was just done. He was not going to do it anymore. And, in those situations, you know, you shift from treating them to helping them in their transition. You know, it's a hard thing to do sometimes, but you know, it is what it is. And you know, for me, I always just thought of it as like I'm, you know, my mind's only like this, like I don't really perceive all the things going on here. And so I'm just going to honor the process. I mean, I would give it the college try, really trying to help them. But at some point you kind of know. And just keep that in mind when you're interacting with them.
That's one thing. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
for
yeah.
this. That's one thing that I've been working with myself, acceptance.
Acceptance, and you know, like helping facilitate somebody making a transition is a whole skill set in itself.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, a couple of years ago we were looking at like teaching that process, and it's such a heavy subject, and it's such a odd thing that I don't know.
Will you please? Because I'm feeling
Yeah,
that
we
it's,
might do it like privately or something, like in small groups or something. You know, we do a lot of that with Astara. Like a lot of what we do with Astara is in the life stuff, transition, and you know, we brought on a few hospice chaplains and things like that, and
is
you know, we do the Bardo, but like a lot of times we're interacting with people right before they make their transition, and then right after, and then dealing with the family, and yeah.
is there anything I can, a link or anything that I can suggest her to join with Astara? Or
Have her send in prayer petitions. Like, I mean, all the prayer petitions that come in, I sit and do blessings and I do hittings on them. And there's other ministers. We,
okay.
you know, we have another old school, old senior instructor from Pranic Healing that does them with me. I mean, there's a bunch of us, but you know, we sit and do healings on those situations. I mean, we have several people who do healings on them, but like the really hardcore cases, him and I really spend extra time on those. Yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So
I'll keep,
yeah, send it in digitally, send it in. I mean, digitally is easy. You just go to the website and pop it in. But even if you just let us know her name, we'll put her in the prayer bowl and you know, put her in the mix.
I will do that because she's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
You're
I'll
so-
keep posted when I speak to her and I see what.
Yeah, I'd be curious, you know.
Yeah.
And if
I'll-
she's got fight in her, like help her fight.
she's
but
got
if-
fight in her.
Yeah.
She has, and if you can see it even. But yeah, I'll know more when I speak to her.
Okay.
And thank you so much.
You're so
Can I also mention something about how Shakti came along?
sure. Yeah.
I've been having the visions on and off visions of the. I had actually had to find it. What was that like? Well, I mean, I saw it, but I didn't know what it was. It started with the white dragon, lots of serpents, and then the caduceus, kind of the and there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of activity, movement in my spine.
Mhm.
So I kept spraying, and I was like, oh, that was not comfortable. So I kept spraying different sprays on it, and inhaling oils and grounding and inhaling and just doing a bunch of like just purification as much as possible. I didn't know what to do with that, but
When you were seeing the dragons, were you awake or asleep?
I was awake.
Nice.
I see dragons a lot in my sessions with people,
Nice.
but lately it's been coming a white one.
Nice.
What's that? Because I see a lot of vision. I see a lot, but I don't know what I always see.
Well, like, you know, there's this old painting that's an Indian painting, and it shows this elephant walking a path. And if I remember right, I saw this like 20 years ago. There's like monkeys on it in different positions on the elephant as it walks the path. And as it walks the path, it is slowly turning from black to white, or, you know, slowly moving from form to essence. And so I would say it's a bit like that. It's a kind of purification. It's a kind of like falling away. Like, even if you think of the four directions, the south is associated with white, and that's purification or falling away of something. You know, it's a falling away of the form or shedding the form. And so it's very, very auspicious. Very, very, very auspicious. Yeah, dragons sometimes can also represent a teacher.
I resonate with that.
Yeah, like it's, you know, your teacher, it's like a teacher on the inner world. And like the form or the face might not mean anything to you, but sometimes they present as like an animal of sorts, or like You know, like sometimes it's a Pegasus, or sometimes it's a unicorn, or sometimes it's a dragon, or a bear, or, you know, or something, you know, something like that. And
I see
it's
a lot of
it's usually something almost like bigger than life, you know, like even a bear. Like if you think, well, a bear is a bear, but if you get up close to a big bear, it's bigger than life. Like it is crazy, like where your brain goes when you're close to a big bear. And so it's, you know, it's potentially that as well.
this is pretty exciting, and
Mhm.
I have been sniffing a lot of mana, a lot of saffron, and putting a lot of the fancy stuff, you know. I've been doing a lot of that.
You know, since we're on the subject, I just feel I need to share, like, one time Master Choa said that if you ever have a dream about like a being, or, you know, not a person, but like a being or a great teacher, or, you know, whatever, most likely that's your lineage. Like it's either your teacher or your lineage.
And see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, he said that to me. I never said a word, but he said that to me when I had had a dream.
Mm.
And he just point blank like looked at me and said that, and I was like, okay, you know. And I didn't talk to him about it for the longest time, but you know, his antenna was always up about stuff like that. And you know, it's not always what you think, you know. It's, you know, we'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
What-
so
Are you gonna create a study group or class where it's like going down this kind of rabbit hole?
yeah. Like we kind of kick it around from time to time, and then we start looking at schedules and who would do it and stuff like that. And yeah, we might do something at some point. Yeah,
Thank you. Just
we're
because
gonna
a
be
lot
doing
is-
a thing like, you know, this next little bit, we're gonna do the materializations of Metatron for a little while, but then after that, we're gonna start doing these like kind of master healing techniques that are from different classes, and you know, to be in a study group form and free, and it will just be open to everybody, and we'll just kind of start going down a bit more of a mystical esoteric rabbit hole, like kind of psychologically healing, but very, very esoteric.
Oh, this is perfect, perfect,
Mhm.
because there's so much happening right now,
Mhm.
energetically, astrologically, that is just like, oh my gosh, the dreams and everything else. That's
Yeah.
like getting some clarity on things,
Yeah.
like
We
seeing
want to get through the month of April a bit, and then after that we'll open up a little bit more.
yeah, it's like
Uh,
yes, if I may say, yesterday I decided I was tired, so yes, Sunday, and I was like, I need a nap. I lay down and I couldn't nap. I was buzzing, and as soon as I closed my eyes, there was so much light
mm,
that I couldn't even. It was just I was somewhere else. I didn't even do any meditation. I was just immediately. So,
yeah.
you know, having some clarity, some understanding a bit would be
Mhm.
wonderful. But anyway, none of this would have been possible without your teachings and the
Oh,
oils.
you're so sweet.
and
Thank
then
you.
where I was 4 years ago, before I met you, and where I am now.
I
This
remember that day.
oh, that was a basket case. So thank you. I mean, thank you. You have no idea
You're
how
so-
grateful I am for your blessings and
You're
teachings and
so-
wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And we still have a couple questions in chat as well here.
Okay.
I have a question about the coffee oil.
Mhm.
I had trouble getting some out, so I took off the plastic regulator and used an eyedropper and placed one drop on each of the web areas on the area of my feet as suggested,
Mhm.
between the thumb and index finger and on the Ming Mang.
Okay, that's pretty solid.
What happened, I was not able to sleep after this. Could the coffee have kept me up?
Well, the coffee doesn't have caffeine, but the energy movement might have potentially done something like that. Well, usually it does the opposite. Maybe let's have you, instead of doing it at night, let's have you do it right off the bat in the morning. But the coffee oil doesn't have any caffeine in it. Like it's you know, CO2. So when they make it, that doesn't survive. And so it's probably just something energetically happening, but let's have you do it at the beginning of the day instead of the end of the day.
So I just ordered the nerve soothing galbanum. Anything I can do between now and the time they arrive, it's quite a few nights before I haven't had good sleep.
Oh, you can try putting some sage on the legs, like in alcohol or massage oil or something, and go kind of heavy, like 6, 8, 10 drops on each leg with a little bit of oil. That might calm it down. Vetiver might calm it down. And they do energy work. Yeah. So do the delicate regeneration, the greenish yellow, greenish violet, but directed at your psoas, like your low back. If we need to send a picture, we can send a picture. But if you just like psoas is PSOAS, and like if you just it's the front of your spine behind your abdomen. It's on like it's like the lumbar area, goes through the pelvis and down into the thigh bone, the femur. A lot of times that is clamping down on the nerves and then causing that sensation. Yeah, the stuff that we have you doing is going to relax that. But until then, that's a way to do it, like sage and then that. Yeah.
I'm still, another question. I'm still having follow on, maybe it was a little with that, but I think COVID with dizziness, it kind of comes and goes a little more often this week. It does make me wobble and some fearful of walking across the room.
Yeah, I hear you.
It can and can happen in bed. Ears sound like I'm underwater in both ears, very muffled sometimes. If I block the nose and blow, there's a lot of shifting inside the ear of mucus, but it can exaggerate the dizziness. So I'm leery of doing things without supervision.
I would say inhale some hyssop. That will slow down the breath, deepen the breath, relax the diaphragm, help to regulate the Ming Men a little bit. And so there was the dizziness, and what was the other thing? It's like post-COVID, like so like when they were doing
She
that.
said, like when she blows,
Yeah.
it pops the ears, like it has less mucus and stuff in the ears, but it can cause more dizziness.
So inhale hyssop, and I feel like there's still something that needs to be addressed. Give me just a sec here. I would say some like rosemary or rosemary verbenin inhaled into the sinuses as well. Like you could rotate it with the hyssop. And if you have rosemary or rosemary verbena would be preferred, but whichever one you have, a few drops in water and take it internally. Don't take the hyssop internally, just the rosemary. That will help calm and soothe down some of the mucous membranes and the stress levels that are hitting the sinuses, which should help the ears as well. But part of the dizziness is these muscles on each side of the neck that are called the sternocleidomastoid. A lot of times with coughing and rough breathing and straining to breathe, they tighten up and then they compress over the carotid sinus, and it basically reduces the amount of blood which is carrying oxygen to the brain, and it throws off your inner ear. And so the hyssop is to relax the diaphragm and some of these muscles, but you could also put something like marjoram or even the rosemary, several drops, and then rub it on both sides of your neck, especially from behind your ear down to the collarbone. Yeah.
And then I really want to thank you, Greg, for the ginger lily and sadness and grief oils. It has made a world of difference in my ability to let go of trying to protect objects from landfill, and has been a real gift to my sister, who throws away stuff for fun and pleasure. Much less conflict and resentment on my part.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Keep it up. Like, keep it up. I mean, I feel you and I hear you. And yeah. You and your sister are like complete opposites in a lot of ways.
Any recommendation for extreme stress? I have the patterns from the classes. Anything else?
For extreme stress. Like, give me an idea of what's going on. Like, there's different kinds of stresses. That's why I'm asking. Yeah.
I'm just gonna let them.
Yeah.
Overwhelm, mental, emotional. Let's have you start maybe with Palo Santo. If you have Palo Santo, let's have you, be it regular or Palo Santo fruit, Palo Santo supreme. Let's have you start with that and inhale it and think of the situations, but also inhale it while thinking of each of your joints of your arms and legs. Yeah, see how that treats you. Is it just like a situation going on now, or just life in general, or? Long-term issues.
Long-term issues. Yeah, start with the Palo Santo. Like, let's see how that treats you. Yeah. The Palo Santo can help unwind not just stress, but like if it starts to turn into anxiety, or, because, there's different kinds of stresses, and there's actually different kinds of responses, but, just like base root stress oriented issues is tied to defense mechanisms, and sometimes what's happening is we're perceiving a threat, but it's more about the past than it is about right now. And Palo Santo can be one of those things that helps clear some of that out. I mean, I use Palo Santo a lot, like a lot. Again, if I'm taking a bath and I don't know what oil to use, I usually go Palo Santo. Like, just clean things up. It's a great maintenance oil.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if it doesn't help, let me know, but it should be helpful. You could think of the situations as well, like, how we do in some of the classes, like observe the situation and have a Palo Santo, and then find it in your body and inhale. that will deepen the process. Yeah.
And then just really quick, back to that previous one, they said 300 pounds got thrown away last Friday.
Oh, check you out. Check you out.
And we do have low
Hey,
lighter.
so let's squeeze in a little bit of a protocol. So something, we were talking with Andrea about the endocrine system and let's just tap into that a little bit. So if you have lemon verbena, if you have lavender complex or just lavender, if you have like a pine, if you have black spruce, if you have saffron, if you're being fancy. Endocrine support. And I think that's probably good, right? Yeah. Okay, so whatever you got, pull it out and begin inhaling, and your awareness is on the soles of your feet. Long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the soles of your feet. And then come up to your front solar plexus, which is below your ribs on your upper abdomen. We get long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the upper abdomen. Your back solar plexus, the mid back area. Long, slow, deep breaths. I'm going to keep talking as we're doing this. So traditionally, I have done this with lemon verbena, but you could do it with lavender complex or endocrine support, but I've always just done it with lemon verbena. This is going to be actually in the integration of Light Class, because part of it is we're wanting to unwind the endocrine system just to let the effects of trauma leave the endocrine system. And I find it to be very, very soothing. It's not like the trauma comes up and you're reliving it. It's just like this energy or pattern of like trauma just kind of leaves the body. And so everybody's got a certain degree of trauma that's held in the endocrine system that affects its function. And so by going through and doing this pattern, you're fortifying the endocrine system, but you're also unwinding the long-term effects of trauma, not so much a specific event, but just long-term effects. And trauma is not always how we think about it. It's not like, oh, some bad thing happened. It can be just like, how we were talking with Troy, like somebody said something and it, boom, and made your body react or hurt your feelings, or those are all like little micro traumas and they all accumulate. And so everybody's got them. Everybody's got them. So we just want to unwind some of that. So now move to the front heart. Long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the front heart. And then the back heart, the area between the shoulder blades. Awareness is on the back heart. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. And then the area between your eyebrows, the ajna. Remember, when you affect the endocrine system, you're also affecting and soothing the mind, helping the mind be able to shift more to the intuitive part of your mind, harmonizing the two sides. Also has a little bit of a regulating effect on emotions. So just be still. Let's just see how you feel there for a moment. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to switch over to the Astara where we bless the prayer petitions and the prayer bowl. Join us if you'd like. It's usually about 15 minutes where we kind of do like a little meditation blessing thing in prayer. And if not, maybe we see you on the weekend or tomorrow night. And remember that we have the free class coming up on Sunday. It's this weekend, right? Sunday. The free class is this Sunday. Yeah. So the lymphatic second module is this coming up weekend, and we're going a little bit deeper with things where we've been doing and treating other things. And then there's the soothing the stress response on Saturday. So hope to see you at something. Take care, you guys. Love you.